Good evening and thanks for tuning in to Double Trouble on CTV Sports. I'm Grace Reeder.
And I'm Rachel V. Hill. The CSU Volleyball coach Tom Hilbert surpassed 700 total wins as a volleyball coach, and senior Jasmine Hanna became CSU's all-time leader in kills in the modern scoring era on Thursday in the match against San Jose State. Congratulations to both of them for these milestones.
Speaking of the volleyball team, it's the 275th week that the CSU volleyball team has been ranked, and this week they upped the ante, breaking into the top 20. The Rams moved up a spot from 21st in the AVCA poll to 20th after a sweep over San Jose and Nevada. The Rams will next head to UNLV and New Mexico. Rachel, what are you looking for in those games?
Well, since the Rams already swept both of these teams earlier in the season, I'm just going to guess that the trend continues.
Yeah, absolutely. UNLV at 7-14, New Mexico at 11-9, 3-5 in the conference. I've really liked what I've seen from the Rams, plus they have the leadership to not stoop to the level of competition. If the competition is not as good as them, the Rams have proven that they can still show up and play.
Yep, and they're undefeated in the Mountain West, ranking first, so I'm pretty sure they're going to just kill it again.
Well, the closest team to them is Wyo, who has a 6-2 record, and Wyo got an easy sweep from them.
I was going to say, and we've already swept them.
Exactly, so. Perfect.
Perfect, and so we have football coming up this weekend as well, but we played against Nevada and they got another W. So Grace, what do you think that the football team needs to work on for this upcoming game?
Yeah, well, if you're looking at these highlights here, you're going to see a lot of Michael Gallup, but I was also really impressed with Dalen Dawkins. In Mike Bobo's press conference after the game, he talked about how he really likes Dalen Dawkins' approach just to everyday life. He had 17 carries, 191 yards, averaged 11.2 yards a carry, and had 1 touchdown. What we need to focus on for the next game is defense. Our defense did not show up to play. We had silly penalties all the way around, so that's definitely going to be something going into this next game that they're going to need to work on.
I was only able to see 1/4 of the game because I was on a flight back home, but I mean, that high scoring of a game usually comes down to your defense not doing your job, and it looks like on both teams nobody was able to do their job.
We were lucky. It was a cold game and it was a long one. The third quarter itself was 50 minutes.
Ooh, I was in hot Dallas, Texas, but we have to talk about Michael Gallup.
Absolutely.
He is just a stud. He was averaging 20.2 yards per carry, and he only had 13 catches, so that just shows you how many yards he was really getting.
Garnered some national attention, 263 total yards. Really impressed with him. Him and Nick Stevens were really connecting in this game.
And Mountain West Player of the Week, and well-deserved.
Well-deserved. Well, Mike Bobo also had some words on how the Rams were preparing for the game against New Mexico.
On the road will be a little bit difficult, but obviously we'll use the film, from last year. We'll use film from people that have played them and defensed them well, and we'll come up with the best plan that we feel suits us and our personnel to have a chance to slow them down.
CSU men's basketball alum Gene Clavel signed a 2-way contract with the Dallas Mavericks today. 2-way players are paid on a daily amount based on the number of days they play in each league. Clavel was originally signed August 1st and averaged 8.8 points and 3 rebounds a game during the preseason.
Really nice to see CSU players moving on to the next level.
I know, and the CSU basketball started practice on Friday, which was very exciting.
Getting excited for the basketball season.
I know, we're going to have to fill some roles with Gian now gone, though.
I know, absolutely. 3 weeks away from the basketball season. If you stay tuned with us, you'll get all that basketball from right here at CTV Sports.
All right, now next up, make sure you stay with us because we are going to talk cross country and soccer.
They said I couldn't dream. Called me a piece of trash and swore that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. Give up. Go back to the dumpster. But I didn't listen. I made my way. And now, I am what I've always wanted to be.
Welcome back from the break, Rams. If you're just tuning in, thanks. You're watching Double Trouble on CTV Sports. The CSU women's soccer team capped off the homecoming weekend with a win over Utah State 2-0. Hannah Gurdon scored the first goal for the Rams in the 35th minute, and Carly Ehart topped it off in the 63rd minute of the game. The Rams next head to New Mexico on the 20th.
The CSU men's cross country Placed 6th at the Nuttycombe Wisconsin Invite, a very competitive meet. Gerald Mock placed 16th individually, edging the Rams past 14 ranked teams. Cole Rockhold followed with a 27th place finish. The women's team didn't fare as well, placing 29th out of 34 teams. Up next, the Rams head to the Mountain West Championship meet in New Mexico.
Really nice to see him have a really successful senior season. Absolutely. And you know that Art Seamers is just an outstanding cross-country coach. When you have men's players who are just back-to-back when it comes to the race, they have a really tight team. And Gerald Mock really killing it his senior year. Doing
and
a really
it's
good
so
job.
Great to see them getting some attention, too.
Absolutely.
Running is hard. I am not a runner, so I give them props.
Credit for that. Well, that's all Rachel and I have for you tonight, but stay tuned because up next, Tim will be here with Tim's Call.
Well, Thomas, you've got pre-diabetes. But with more exercise and a change in diet, it can be reversed.
I've tried exercising. It just makes me hungry for bacon.
I love bacon, too. And who really likes to exercise?
Not me.
Me neither.
Nobody. So we're good?
What? Oh, you still have pre-diabetes. Big time.
Okay, so we drowned the fire, stirred it, drowned it again, and now just feel if it's cold.
Yeah.
Cool.
Smokey just gave me a bear hug.
I know. I already posted it.
Hello, sports fans, and welcome to Tim's Call. I am your host, Tim McCall, here to bring you the latest news in the world of sports. The Green Bay Packers were dealt a devastating blow yesterday when star quarterback Aaron Rodgers suffered a broken collarbone in the team's 23-10 loss at the hands of the Minnesota Vikings. The news got worse today when the Packers head coach Mike McCarthy announced that Rodgers would undergo surgery to repair his collarbone. McCarthy also claimed that there is no timetable for Rodgers' return. Back in 2013, Rodgers suffered a similar injury, a broken clavicle, that kept him sidelined for the last 7 games of the season. During that stretch, the Packers went 2-4-1 without Rodgers. The team currently stands at 4-2 and will turn to third-year pro and UCLA product Brett Hundley to fill in for Rodgers during his absence. Hundley has never started a game in the NFL and has only thrown 1 touchdown while throwing 4 interceptions as a pro. The Packers will be facing an uphill battle the rest of the season in a tough NFC North division. The NFC is now up for grabs. In baseball news, last night the Dodgers took a commanding 2-0 lead over the Cubs in the NLCS thanks to a walk-off home run by Dodgers third baseman Justin Turner. The series is now heading to Chicago, where many people are questioning the actions of Cubs manager Joe Maddon. With 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th inning of last night's game, the score tied at 1, Maddon brought pitcher John Lackey in from the bullpen. This decision has been questioned due to the fact that Lackey has been a starting pitcher throughout his career and is not accustomed to coming out of the bullpen. In fact, out of the 448 games that John Lackey has pitched in during his career, only 4 of them have been games that he has not started. This decision becomes more controversial when you consider the Cubs also had closer Wade Davis ready to go in their bullpen. Davis has been an all-star relief pitcher each of the last 3 seasons and has been one of the best at coming out of the bullpen during that time. Maddon's decision may have cost the Cubs Game 2, but the series is far from over. The Cubs will look to fight back and win Game 3 in Chicago tomorrow night. In closing news, the Oakland Raiders got much-needed help on the defensive side of the ball today when they signed linebacker Navarro Bowman. Bowman has been a standout defensive player during his 7-year career and has earned first-team All-Pro honors 4 different times. The 49ers cut Bowman this weekend in an effort to clear up some cap space and free up playing time for some other players. With 3 seasons with over 100 tackles, Bowman was a hot commodity on the free agent market in the middle of the season. The Raiders acted first and now have Bowman inked to a 1-year, $3 million deal. Navarro Bowman could be a difference maker in the AFC West down the stretch this season. That's all I have for you tonight, but don't go anywhere because up next, it's the Foco Sports Show.
told me a bottle couldn't dream. That I would never become a superhero. But I learned how to fly. Just to come back in a new disguise. And be the hero that I've always wanted to be.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
Look at you. You're at the top of your game. You're unstoppable. Nothing can throw you off track. Wait, is that your car? Uh-oh. Yeah, I saw that coming. That will throw you off track. You're looking at around 10 grand in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Let's try this again. Smart move. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Listen, I realize that I'm not perfect, but it all really started to change because you judge me for having a problem. No one is going to know that I need help. I need help. I know that no one is going to judge me for having a problem. I realize that I'm not perfect, but it all really started to change because you listen.
You are listening to 90.5 KCSU Fort Collins with DJ Mean Beats,
DJ Nightshade, DJ Wildcard. Music to me is one of the best creative outlets that I can think of. An escape from the real world.
Music to me is an expression of love.
To go from like folk to hip hop to like classic rock, 1960s bossa nova. With music, there's like no boundaries.
I work here because I love music, and you do too.
Well, Thomas, you've got pre-diabetes. But with more exercise and a change in diet, it can be reversed.
I've tried exercising. It just makes me hungry for bacon.
I love bacon too. And who really likes to exercise?
Not me.
Me neither.
Nobody. So we're good?
What? Oh, you still have pre-diabetes. Big time.
Look at you. You're at the top of your game. You're unstoppable. Nothing can throw you off track. Wait, is that your car? Uh-oh. Yeah, I saw that coming. That will throw you off track. You're looking at around 10 grand in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Let's try this again. Smart move. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Hello and welcome to the Foco Sports Show. I am your host, Tim McCall, and I am joined by some members of the Rocky Mountain Student Media. We're here to talk about some sports. Guys, you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Brian Buck with KCSU.
I'm Nick Baker with KCSU.
And I'm Javon Harris from the Collegian.
So if we're in Fort Collins and we're talking sports, we have to start with Michael Gallup, the biggest story in, quite frankly, the state of Colorado today. He has been fantastic all year, and it was capped off by a huge performance in the homecoming victory against Nevada on Saturday. What do you guys think of him?
Well, first and foremost, I love his attitude. Every time you talk to him, every interview you hear from him, he has the perfect attitude. He's a guy who's come up from a small town. He was adopted with a family of 7. The guy has grown in every facet of his life for his entire life. He didn't have the grades to make it at the D1 level, so he went to JUCO out of high school. He's gotten better. One of the reasons he's actually said he stayed at CSU for his senior season was so that he could get a degree. Distinct sign of improvement there. He shows a mental attitude playing the football game, a determination, a confidence that's rare to see in a guy. When we talked to him last night, he said he didn't feel it was the best game that he could have. He has this, he got upset in the 3rd quarter, not because his teammates weren't doing what they were supposed to do, not because he wasn't performing the way he was, but because he felt like he could have a bigger impact on the game, and he was upset that he wasn't having a bigger impact on the game himself. It was the type of anger that drives you, that forces you to be better, not the kind of anger that breaks down teammates. And just everything you see from this kid just feels like he's destined to be something amazing.
Now, to go along with what you were saying with his attitude, I think he has a great attitude as well. And one thing that really stuck out for me that I've heard from him before is he was saying, you know, throughout my whole life, I played at the best competition. And I may never have been the best guy on my team. I was good, and I was getting scholarships, but there was always a couple other guys on my team who were getting SEC scholarships. And I think, you know, hearing that, you know, yeah, Michael Gallup, when we hear him and we see what he does every Saturday, he's great. But in his eyes, he was never the best. And I think that's what's driving him, and I think that's a great attitude to have if you want to get better and be the best football player you can.
You're right, it's a mindset. And when asked if it's you know, something he's thinking about going up, that he's going to make the catch, he said, no, I don't want to be on anyone else's highlight reel. I want them to be on mine. And that's, to me, the most healthy mindset you can have as an athlete, let alone a receiver. They have to have confidence. And it was clear he had confidence. On 16 targets, 13 catches, and the 3 that he didn't catch were 2 throwaways and just one that was out of reach. Every time it came to him, he caught it, and he wasn't on anyone's highlight reel. He did what he wanted.
No, if it's in Michael Gallup's area code, he's going to catch it. Yeah. We've learned that this year.
And I like how you guys were saying, like, he's really humble. If you got to meet him, if you had a chance to talk to him, you would see that. Like, the game ended on Saturday at like 12 o'clock, 12 something like that, you know. And he stayed around, met some fans, met a little kid. I forgot his name, but then he met a little kid, took pictures with him. He's just a really humble guy. Despite all the numbers, despite all the things he's doing, he's just really humble. And he loves CSU. He loves the community. And, I mean, you couldn't ask for a better game out of a guy like that. Like, without the 3 touchdowns, without the 13 receptions, the 263 yards, I don't know if we win that game. So, and then, but if you ask him about it, he probably doesn't think that it's because of him.
He'll tell you about Nick Stevens putting the ball where it needs to be.
He'll tell you about somebody else, and you always want a teammate like that. That's the kind of teammate you just dream of, you know. So
Now, we know Michael Gallup performed this weekend. You know, he had 13 catches, 263 yards, 3 touchdowns. But going forward, what do we see his future? He was the Mountain West Player of the Week this week. Is he somebody that NFL scouts are going to be looking at?
Well, they're already looking at him. There was an Atlanta Falcons scout in the press box Saturday night, and when asked who he was looking at when he didn't mention Michael Gallup, he said, "No, we've seen plenty of him. We already know he's the real deal." Michael Gallup is going to the NFL. He's going to make an impact, and he's going to do really good things. When you look at his skill set, it's so complete. He does a lot of things really well. There are a couple things here and there that you could break down. There are a couple of flaws that he's admitted outwardly that he needs to work on, namely being a better blocker, watching tape and understanding defense as well. But it's just physicality as a pass catcher, as a wide receiver. I mean, he's about as complete as it gets. He might not be the fastest guy out there. He might not be the highest jumping guy out there. He might not be the strongest guy out there, but he does everything really, really well. He's #1 in the nation in yards after the catch. He's #1 in the nation in yards total at the wide receiver position. He's got 5 touchdowns, and I think that number could be inflated if we didn't see guys like B.C. Johnson, Dietrich Clark catching a bunch of touchdown passes as well. He does everything well, and I think there are a lot of NFL teams that value a guy who does a lot of really good things. When we look at, you know, some of the last few years, wide receivers that have been drafted, one of the guys that sticks out to me is John Ross. He was drafted because he was really quick.
4.22.
Yes. But you look at how he's played for the Bengals this year, he hasn't really blossomed yet. yet because he can't do everything well. When you look at the guys who really have success in the NFL, especially their first couple of seasons, it's because they do everything really well. Stephon Diggs is a young guy that I think of when I think of someone who does everything well and really blossomed right out of the draft. Amari Cooper's another guy, just does everything really well. And both of those guys have had successful careers. You know, they don't have that one shining piece of them. They have a complete package, and that's what Michael Gallup is.
Now, something I want to add on with you saying, you know, he leads the nation in yards after catch. A lot of people don't realize Michael Gallup's a big guy. You know, listed at 6'3", you know, over 200 pounds. You know, when you're running very crisp routes and you're a smaller guy, like a guy like Rashard Higgins, you know, with 6'1", 180, you know, you're still good enough to get in the NFL. But when you're running crisp routes and you're 6'3", 205 pounds, you know, you're going to be a nightmare for opposing defensive backs.
I'm glad you brought that up, because Rashard Higgins, you know, is the greatest receiver in CSU history. But I think Gallup is going to overtake that by the end of the year. And me and Brian were talking about it earlier. It's because Rashard Higgins has the mechanics down, but he's not a physical body. He doesn't have the greatest natural talent on most fields. Michael Gallup does, and you can tell he can change the game. You know, Rashard Higgins, he can do something that can bring the game closer to you. But Michael Gallup, one catch can change the entire tide of a game, and that's why he's going to do more in the NFL. He's going to do more for CSU, and why he's the best that has ever played here.
I like what you said about going up against defensive backs. It reminds me of his first catch Saturday night, where he had that Nevada cornerback hanging on his waist. As he jumps up, the defender slowly sheds down his body. He comes down with the ball, but then the guy's trying to hang onto his shoelaces. And after that, there's nothing you can do against Michael Gallup. It almost looked like the guy wasn't even there. I saw that and I went, man, that's a man catch. He just out-physicaled the guy. He just said, I'm going to come down with this ball, and that's just so impressive to see. That goes back to that mental attitude thing. He's got all the pieces right there.
You know, I'm not sure if there was anybody in the state of Colorado that would have been able to cover Michael Gallup on Saturday night. He was completely unstoppable. But we're going to move forward. We have a little bit of basketball news. In the NBA today, the Dallas Mavericks signed former Colorado State standout John Clavel to a two-way contract. What do you guys think of that?
I really like it, especially because the Mavericks are a rebuilding team. They're going to have a lot of time for younger guys to come up and play, and that's when people that you don't necessarily expect to stand out. And Clavel has the kind of skill set that can stand out if he's given the right opportunity. So I'm thinking, you know, maybe a quarter of the way through the season, halfway through the season, when they call him up, he's going to do something. It's going to be great, and the next thing you know, he's going to be getting those one-way contracts for the NBA because he's, you know, a perfect, you know, bench guy, maybe not a starter, but a guy to come in, turn the tides, a lot like Richard Jefferson, even, that was just signed to the Nuggets. You know, not a game busting you know, skill set, but a guy that on the bench, I love it.
Yeah, and I like how you said that. But recently, Seth Curry, who was one of their kind of main targets off the bench, he's injured for the first 3 games of the season. So this gives Gian an opportunity to try to showcase what he's made of. Even though we've seen it, we've all seen it. You know, he did pretty good in Summer League, and he did really well to me in the preseason. So I'm excited for him. I think this is a great opportunity for him. He has the skill set to play in the NBA. He has the one-on-one game, and he also can play defense. People don't really see that about him. They don't see that he's a well defender, and he's, what, like 6'4", 180 probably a defender, and he really takes pride in that. So I think this opportunity is a once-in-a-lifetime, and I think he'll make the most of it because that's what he's done his whole life. So I'm excited for him.
You know, Javon, just to build off what you were saying, I hear a lot of people say, yeah, the scouting report says he's good at defense, but he was playing against Mountain West competition. It's a whole different level in the NBA. And, you know, while I do see that argument, I think that John Clavel has the really good quick twitch reflexes. You know, that's what he is probably best at, and I think that's what's going to allow him to be a good defender at the NBA level. When you can really move fast, you can move laterally, you know, even if the guys are bigger than you, they may not be able to blow past you, and that's where I think he's going to be able to stand out. And when you shoot, you know, he shot 40% from 3 in the Summer League this year. This is a guy who can be a 3-and-D guy going forward, and I think has a lot of potential, a lot of value on a team as the 17th guy.
I agree. I think his energy and his energy off the bench could be huge. Like if he can turn into a consistent scorer off the bench, who knows? Plenty of NBA teams would like him, you know? If he can average 8 points off the bench in the NBA and on an NBA team, that would be tremendous, you know? So we'll see.
One of the things that I'm really excited to see from him, Gian Clavel has been the best player on the team he's played for most of his, if not all of his career. And you see him play with that attitude, especially at CSU. He has that confidence. You know, he'll come down and he'll just pop a 3 right in your face with 25 seconds on the shot clock because he can. I want to see how he's matured being not the best player on the court. I want to see how much he's focused on his defensive and rebounding game. I don't think people talk about enough about how good of a rebounder Gian Clavel is at the guard position. And I think that if he gets in that bench role, like you said, coming off the bench, giving him a little bit of humble attitude in the game, allowing him to showcase his stats where he can and what he's good at where he can, he could be a really, really quality piece for the Mavericks team. And I think he's also in a great position, being on a young team as well. It'll give him that drive too, that knowledge that he knows there's a place for him to grow and develop and possibly get into the starting role if he plays well and if he does the right things.
You're right. I agree with that.
Good day to be a CSU Ram fan with one of our former alumni becoming an NBA player. Now, we want to move forward. We just have a couple minutes, so we want to talk NBA season. It starts tomorrow. We don't have too much time, guys, so let me just get one quick statement from you guys. What are we looking for this NBA season?
I want to see which team, not named the Cavaliers or the Warriors, shows to us in the first 10 to 20 games that they're actually worthy of making the finals. Because if a team isn't ready to make it now, there's no way they can put the pieces together later on in the season. They have to be ready now, and they have to prove it to us quick.
And I have to disagree with you there. I don't think we'll see any team that's ready for the finals besides those two teams. Again, we're going to see a rematch, and I probably think the Warriors are going to win that. But what I'm most excited for is the Celtics-Cavs game. Opening night, that's huge. Kyrie just got traded. Like, I want to see how he's going to do against LeBron. You know, he's always been the little brother on LeBron's team, and now he's kind of like, this is my team now, and I'm going against my big brother at the home team. They're going to do a video tribute to him, too, before the game. So I'm excited to see how that's going to go. And then for you Philly fans over there, I'm actually excited to see them be good again. No offense, but like, you know, it's been long overdue for them. And of course, Lonzo Ball and the Lakers, Showtime Lakers, we're back and we're in full effect, baby. Can't wait.
It's not going to translate. I don't think he's going to translate into a
35 and 50.
No way. 40 plus games. You heard it here first. 40 plus.
Okay.
Rookie of the year, Lonzo Ball.
Kobe couldn't make that team win.
He's talking about 2022 for everyone who doesn't know.
Come on now.
Nick, anything to say?
I mean, like Brian said, I'd want to see who's going to stand up. I don't know if anyone will, but if it's going to be, you know, the Spurs, it's going to be the Rockets, someone like I don't think the Thunder can do it. It's too many stars in the same ring there. But, you know, maybe the Spurs always have stood up to the Warriors a little bit. I think maybe they've made enough of a change growth that they can maybe take a series from the Warriors.
No, you know, I'm looking forward to just seeing all the young players. You know, you mentioned the Sixers. I love the Sixers. You know, Ben Simmons. People were tagging him as the next LeBron James. I've been waiting quite a while, just like many other Sixers fans, to see him. I'm looking forward to see him. Lonzo Ball. We got a bunch of other young stars in the NBA, and I'm looking for who's going to, you know, step up and take LeBron's throne. Now, LeBron, he still has some time, but the LeBron chapters of the, you know, the chapters of the LeBron book are starting. We're getting to the last chapters.
Exactly. I think KD answered that question.
I agree too.
A couple days ago.
Game 3.
No. KD answered the question. Giannis.
Yeah.
He said it.
Oh,
he said it a couple days ago. KD says Giannis has a chance to be the best player
ever. And I agree.
And he's already one of the best players in the league now.
Exactly.
And he's young.
He's still growing.
Very young.
You know, what is Karl Anthony Towns going to do now that he has a guy like Jimmy Butler on his team? You know, Anthony Wiggins, is he the real scoring threat that everyone thought he was? These are all questions that we're going to have answered this season. Now, unfortunately, guys, that's all the time we have for tonight. We are going to wrap up. This has been the Foco Sports Show. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good one, guys.
We out of here.